Okay. Welcome to my class on my favorite features with iOS 16 for the iPhone. We're primarily going to focus on the iPhone here. And everyone kind of knows how this works. If you have a question or something, just unmute yourself. Everyone is muted. And if you need anything, just unmute yourself. It's pretty loose. I run a pretty loose operation here. I do try to monitor the chat as well. I'm not real good at it, but you can always throw a question in the chat. See, I didn't even have the chat window open, and ask away there. But let's get started here and go to my presentation. I'll spotlight myself. This is being recorded and it will be live on my site tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch it. But basically what we're looking at here or what we're going to be looking at here are my favorite features with iOS 16 on, basically on the iPhone. Let me center myself here a little bit. There we go. I've been using iOS 16 for a while, and there's a lot of videos out there and everything, and everyone, you hear the 100 new things with iOS 16, and there are a ton of new things with iOS 16. But I thought what I would do is a little different twist of what my favorite features are and what I'm excited about and what I think other people, where some of the features that may help other people. So that's basically what I'm going to cover here. As I started creating this list, this presentation with these slides and all that, it turned out to be a little bit longer than I thought. I mentioned this to someone earlier. The list started growing. So I'm going to try to get through all of them here. But first, let's start out. This is being live streamed on YouTube. So, and I did open this up to everyone. So there may be some people here who are not familiar with who I am. So I'm just going to do a real brief introduction of who I am. And I'm Dan Wasink, owner, trainer, everything with Dan's Tutorials. Basically, it's a one-man operation. I have over 30 years publishing experience, probably split between magazine and online publishing. And I'm also a former Apple genius. I've been using Apple products for 30 plus years, and I'm still a big fan of them. Of course, I can get on my soapbox about certain issues. I'm not a dedicated diehard Apple's doing everything right. I can get on my soapbox on a few things with them. But for the most part, I do like the experience that they're giving everyone, and I am a huge fan. And what I try to do is just help people with their Apple devices. There's so many things that you can do with these things. And I learn stuff on a daily basis, and hopefully what I can do is share what I learn and help everyone else. So that's basically my whole goal here. So let's get started here and talk about some of my favorite features with iOS 16. The first one that I think is really kind of cool, and you don't read too much about it, it absolutely has its spot for people that are in specific situations where they need to disconnect from everyone or from specific people, and it is great for that. But I also think it's great for people that are on the other side of the aisle, people like myself, where what you want to do is you just want to review what your privacy settings are. Who are you sharing your information with? What apps are you sharing your information with? Do you want to share them with that specific person? And it's not in any kind of an emergency situation, but it kind of gives you an overview of who you're sharing your information with. It's great just to run through it, and it's all done in the settings app, and it's pretty simple to do. So we're going to look at that first. I'm on my iPhone here, and basically what we need to do to run a safety check is go over to our settings app here. And when you're in your settings app, there's a software update. When you're in your settings app, what you need to do is go to your privacy and security. So it's a few steps to get to this. And then down towards the bottom, you're going to see safety check. This is what is new. And again, like I say, it is a great option for emergency reset. Basically, you can tap on emergency reset if you're in a specific situation or someone that's in a specific situation. You need to have them stop sharing information, disconnect from someone, this is where you can do it, and it works really great. But on the flip side, I think it also works. It's just a good thing to look at maybe every 6 months for us people that are not in, who are fortunate, not in those situations. What I can do is go to Manage Sharing and Access, and essentially what I'm able to do is review anyone who I'm sharing my information with, any apps who I'm sharing my information with. I can change my password security. I can change my two-factor authentication. Just tap on Continue. And the first thing we have here is sharing with people. These are who I am sharing information with. I have my demo person, Abigail Appleseed, and my wife, Beth. And if I wanted to review what information I'm sharing with them, all I have to do is just tap on it. So I'm going to go to Abigail here, and then I go over to Review Sharing. What I'm sharing with Abigail is my photos. Well, maybe I no longer want to share my photos with Abigail. All I have to do is just select it and stop sharing. I'm going to deselect it, and we're going to go back. We can even flip that around. I can go over to Information. Maybe I don't know who I am sharing my I don't really care who I'm sharing my information with. I want to know what information I am sharing. So I go to Information here, and now I can see, I'm sharing my photos. Well, who am I sharing my photos with? Oh, Abigail and Beth. I no longer want to share with Abigail. Tap on Abigail, and I stop sharing. So it's pretty simple to just go through and review, who you're sharing your information with. We can even go, I'm going to skip this. We're going to go to the next one. What information am I sharing publicly? With the Photos app, I can create a public album. If I no longer want to share that album, I have to just tap on it and stop sharing. So we can easily see that. I keep going. That's step one. There's 3 steps to this. Apps. What apps am I sharing my information with? And when I'm talking about information, I'm talking about my camera, my contacts, my calendars, anything like that. Well, right now we can see that Halid, this is a camera app. I'm sharing my location, camera, and one more with it. I can tap on the eye to view what that information is with my photos. Let's say I no longer wanted to share that with Halid. Tap on it, and I can stop sharing. Let's flip it around, much like contacts. If I go up to Information here, I can see what information I'm sharing. Oh, location. What apps am I sharing my location with? Go to Location. Oh, Halid and On the Way. No, I'm pretty good with those. Those are pretty safe apps. I'm okay with that. So you can see also what apps. You keep going. I can also see what devices are tied to my Apple ID. When's the last time we checked this? I can tell you it's been a while for me. I don't have all these devices here. So I can go and remove those devices from my Apple ID. Skip it. My trusted phone numbers, I can add, if I change my number or I want to add another number, this is for the two-factor authentication. I tap on Continue. I can update my Apple ID password. I'll update that later. And then I can set who my emergency contact or emergency SOS with is. And then I can update my device code. I'm going to skip that. So now I just did my safety check. And really all that did, as you can see, is it just kind of stepped me through with making sure that I'm sharing my information with the right people. Maybe we shared our information or shared our photos or whatever with somebody, and we no longer want to share it with them, and we forgot about it. I did that a year ago. I don't want to share my information with them anymore. This was just somebody I had a brief contact with. Well, now you can go in there and easily see who, what apps, as well as other information, and then remove sharing access for those specific people and those specific apps. Excuse me. So it works out really well I think this is just a great thing to check every once in a while. Just run through it. You saw how I ran through it. It's pretty simple to run through. I mean, I just did a complete safety check in under 5 minutes. And then when you're done, all you have to do is just go, if you go up to the very top, you're going to see Quick Exit. With Quick Exit, what it does is it goes immediately to the home screen, and you're back to where you were. Any changes that you made will be saved at that time. So I think that's one of those hidden gems. Everybody talks about the lock screen, and I'm going to talk about the lock screen and some other things. But I think this was a really good one for our personal privacy. We want to protect our privacy. Safety Check allows us to do that in a very simple way, and I recommend everyone just kind of running through it. Maybe every 6 months. I'd love to see Apple make that a little bit more prominent. It's buried. Right now it's in settings, under privacy and settings, and you have to go to Safety Check and run it through there, which is fine. But it'd be nice to see. I would think probably in a couple of years that will be more prominent and more easily accessible. So that's one of my favorite features. Now, these features are not in any specific order. They're just kind of, I tried to put it in a way that I could flow through this presentation. Someone have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you want to share your location with everybody?
I do, but that's up to you. I mean, I do. I can tell you if I go on my personal phone and I go to find friends, I can see that my nephew, he's traveling over in Europe. He shared his information with me, so I can, just kind of live vicariously through him. I've mentioned this before. All of my family, my siblings, I can see where each one of my siblings are. I can see where my mom is. Of course, my wife Beth, and we don't do it to. We all trust each other. I mean, everyone's in a different situation. I have a very trusting family and friends.
A safety issue.
Yeah. For us, I'll be honest with you, we like to go and have a beer. I can see where Darren and Jody are. Oh, they're at the bar. I'm going to go to the bar and meet them.
Oh,
I'll be honest. That is probably the primary reason why we have fine friends. So,
okay.
all right. The next thing. I thought this was pretty cool. Severe weather notifications for selected cities in the weather app. With this, if you have a second house, we don't have a second house. We don't have a cottage in Michigan here. They have a lot of cottages up north and things like that. But I do have family over in Flushing, Michigan, and we have family in other areas. Well, now what you can do is you can receive severe weather notifications for specific cities. In the past, you could only do that for the location that you were in. Let's go back over to my iPhone. And I'm going to open up the weather app, which is basically all rewritten. It is now using dark sky for everything. And real quickly, you can see it. If you look at my videos online, I have an iPhone with iOS 15 running next to this one here. And if you look at them visually, they don't look any different. But when you do tap on anything, so I can go to precipitation here, I can get an hour by hour and a daily forecast for pretty much anything here. Visibility, what's it going to be like in a few days? That you couldn't do in the old weather app. So I love that. A lot more information there. But what I wanted to share is if you go down to the bottom where we have our different cities, what you can do when you go up to the More button in the upper right-hand corner, what you're going to see is notifications. And with notifications here, you're going to see that I have severe weather notifications set for my current location. I would always recommend that. You want to receive any notifications for severe weather no matter where you're located. But my in-laws live in Flushing, Michigan. So you're going to see I have here Flushing as a city. You just have to add it as a city in your list. And when you do that, what you're able to do is go to the slider, and now what I'm going to receive on this iPhone are severe weather notifications if there's anything going on over in Flushing, Michigan. So I can kind of keep an eye on, family, friends, or, if you like, say you have a second house, anything like that, really. What you're able to do is just, I turn it back off because I don't want notifications on this phone, but you tap on any one of these. Whoops. Go back here. Notifications, you tap on any one of these, and then you can set notifications. To add a city, all you have to do is go to the very top here. You're going to see search for city. You search for a city, and then you can add it to this list. Once it's added to the list, you go up to more, and then you're able to edit the notifications and then receive severe notifications for that specific city. So I think that's a really neat tool. And I just actually learned, I've been using iOS 16 for quite a while, and I just learned about this one at another, I also help out Naples Mac user group, and someone did a presentation, and I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. I had to re-record my video because he taught me this. There's so many things that you can learn from that, but I thought that was really cool. And I think it's helpful, especially for people with family and all that. So, all right, let's go on to our next one here. Improve focus mode options. So focus mode was introduced in iOS 15, and it's a pretty neat little thing when they introduced it, but I think it was one of those things that like, oh, this is cool, and then it went womp womp. Nobody used it. It wasn't powerful enough. So what is focus mode? Focus mode allows you to make customized do not disturbs. I open up an app. Well, if I am in that app, maybe like I'm on a Zoom call, maybe I don't want to receive any notifications since I'm on Zoom. Well, you can set up a focus mode for Zoom. When I do help out at a local school, not as much as I used to, but I still help out. I'm like a substitute tech support person. And when I go to the school, my phone goes into focus mode, and what I can do is I can set who I want to receive notifications from. Again, that was introduced last year. Well, now what they did is they greatly improved on it, and I think it's at the point where it may be it's something that I'm playing around with on a using on a regular basis. So let's go back over to my phone. And what we need to do is open up the Settings app, and you're going to see we have focus here. Like I say, it's basically do not disturb, but we can customize it. And when I go to focus here, we have all these different focuses. So what I'm able to do is set with each one of these, again with iOS 15, this was introduced, what I'm able to do is set when I'm in a specific focus, I can set who I want to receive notifications from and which apps I want to receive notifications from. I could also set what home screens I want to see. It was okay, but I'm at the school. Maybe I don't want to have to sit there and set, well, I want to receive notifications from this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. I think it'd be easier if it was where I could set, I do not want to receive notifications from this person. I want to flip that around. Or same thing with the apps. I do not want to receive notifications from the music app. I'll receive them from everything else, but I'm at the school. I don't need to see it from the music app, or I don't need to see it from the app store. So instead of allowing notifications, what we can now do when I tap on these, I can set if I want to silence notifications from specific people or allow notifications from specific people. So now it makes it a little bit easier to add groups of people in there. We can even go in here and in iCloud, which I'll talk about, another new feature that I really like is we can now edit our groups and lists in iCloud or in contacts. I could say I want to only have notifications from these people. So I can select a group easily now. So a lot more granular control with who we receive notifications from. On top of that, what we can do is filter our notifications, I think. Yep. Let's go back to my slide. When I do these slides, what it does is it allows me to easily find it so I can add chapters to the video. So now I'll see this slide and I'll be like, oh, that's a chapter. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about with focus mode is filtering. What we can do is we can filter mail accounts, calendars, and the way that works is I'm again setting up a focus, and let's say I had a school calendar in the calendar app. When I'm at the school, guess what I want to see? That school calendar. I don't want to see any other calendar, let's say. Well, now I'm able to do that. I'm able to tap on this, and select which calendars I want to see. And when I'm in that particular focus, I only see that calendar. Same thing with mail. I have a school account, I have a work account, or maybe I have a personal account. Well, when I'm at the school, I don't want to see my work email. And when I'm not at the school, I don't want to see my school email. So now what we're able to do is filter our mail accounts based on a specific focus. I go to the school, the iPhone knows I'm at the school, I open up mail because I'm in the school focus, all I see is my school mail. I leave the school, I no longer see that mail because I'm no longer at the school. We can also do that with people and messages. I can do that with tab groups. So I could have a specific tab group set up in Safari, and I'm still trying to learn the best way to use tab groups, so I'm not going to touch on that because I'm not sold on it yet, at least the way that Safari does it, but I'm trying. But what you can do is you can save a group of tabs, and then when I'm at the school, what I'd be able to do is set it to when I open up Safari, it goes to those tab groups. I think that's pretty powerful. I'm like, okay, now I can see where these tab groups can come into play. I go back home, and if I put it into a work focus, I open up Safari, I'm going to see all my work tabs, all the bookmarks or whatever for work. And then when I leave that focus, I can see everything else. And of course, with any one of these filters, we can still see everything else. So even though with the mail, if I filter my mail, I'm still going to be able to see all of my other mail. It's just by default, it only shows me that one. But all I have to do is just tap. There's going to be a button there that says, do you want to unfocus this? Yes. You can see all your mail. So it's not deleting it or hide it. It's basically hiding it, but with a simple tap, you can see everything. And I can still get to all of my other tab groups. It's just a shortcut to get me to everything. And depending on what apps you have, other apps can play into this as well. So they'll be able to filter different information based on how you use it. So I think that is a pretty powerful thing, and I'm experimenting with these focuses to see how I could use it. And I love the idea because I'm at the school, I need to focus on this. I'm not at the school, I don't want to see the school stuff. I'm at home, I put it into the personal focus, I don't want to see my work email because all of a sudden that puts you into a 24/7. I'm really trying to stay. When you're working, and when you play, you play. And the problem with me is if I see my work email, I might just I need to answer that kind of thing. And really, it's like trying to separate that a little bit, and that's what Focus does. So, and I think this can greatly improve that side of it. So the filtering with Focus is awesome. Another thing you can do with the focus is you can lock your screens based on focus mode. So the other problem that we had with focus was, like when I would go to the school, I didn't know what focus I was in. It has a little icon. So let's go back over to my phone. When you're in a specific focus, and you can just go to the control center and select what focus you want. And then it puts a little icon in the upper right-hand corner. But if I don't have these guys, I'm not going to see that icon. So what we can now do is we can lock a specific lock screen to a focus. So let's do that once and see how this works. So if you're not familiar with the lock screen, what we're able to do is create different lock screens. I'll touch on that in a minute. What I can do here is lock this specific lock screen to a focus. I can lock this specific lock screen to a focus. So I could have a picture of the school here, and when I'm in the school focus, when I pick up my iPhone, what do I see? I see my school there. I leave the school, it's no longer showing that as the lock screen. And the reason why I like that is it gives you a visual indication of what focus you're in, which is tremendous, because otherwise it can get confusing. Am I in that focus? Am I not in that focus? So if you play around with focuses, I would highly recommend you do this because it's a clear indication of what focus you're in. And it's pretty simple to do. So all we need to do is, when we're looking at our customized screens here, so I'm in my school focus. You can see it up at the top here. And I tap on Edit. What I'm able to do is select which, these are all the different lock screens that I have. So when I'm at the school, what I would like to do is go with Planet Earth. So now, when I turn on the school focus, so we can see what my lock screen is here, the orange background. Let's go and put it into the school focus. We can see that it changed to Earth. I'm no longer at the school. I turn that focus off. Now I'm back at my other home screen lock screen. So it gives us a good visual indication of what focus you're in, which I think is very, very helpful, because otherwise it can get confusing. So, I think my next one, yes, lock screens. On the lock screens, what we're able to do, I love this one. We can now access apps directly from the lock screen. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if we go to my lock screen here, what we're able to do is add widgets. So I'm going to switch to a different lock screen here. And you're going to see that I have a calendar widget up here. I have the temperature, and then I also have my fitness here. So these are different widgets that I can add. And if I tap on any one of them, it opens up. So if I wanted to go to my calendar, all I have to do is just tap on this, and it opens it up. Now, it did recognize my face. If someone picks up your phone, they're not going to be able to do that. It's all my face. So don't worry about, your privacy is not going to be compromised there. But all I have to do is just tap on any one of those widgets to open it up. But that is not what I'm excited about. This is more for the, I would say more for the camera nut, and I'm sure that other people are, going to be doing the same thing with other apps. I don't typically, I use the calendar app. We can open up the calendar app down the lower right-hand corner. That's always been there. And I can also swipe to the left to get to the camera. But I use an app called Halid a lot of times for my photography. I'm a hobbyist photographer. Well, in order to get to Halid, what I need to do is swipe up, and then I have to tap on the app Halid. I would love to have Halid on my lock screen, much like the camera app. Well, now we can do that. And this is up to the developer. They have to build this into their app. Halid did this. It's a perfect example. But let's say you had your favorite calendar, and you'd like to access that from the lock screen. You would now be able to do that. Or maybe you have a different, I don't know what, but a different browser, or a different contacts app, or everyone has their favorite apps for doing specific things. Well, if that developer wanted to, what they could do is they could give you easy access to that app directly from the lock screen. So I'm going to show you how we do this with Halid. So we have to customize our lock screen. You just tap and hold on the lock screen to customize it. Now, what I'm going to do is tap on Customize down at the bottom. And what I need to do is customize the lock screen. So I tap on the left side. You're going to see that up at the top. I have the date. What I'm able to do is change what shows up at the top there. I can also change the font and color of the time. Pretty cool. And we can do this for each individual little lock screen. So you could, depending on what mood you're in, you could change your font and colors and all that kind of stuff. But back to what I really love, the bottom one here at the top there, bottom one at the top, the bottom one, what I'm able to do is add widgets in here. And I'm going to get rid of the calendar. And I have Halid installed on my phone. And you're going to see I have Halid here. Now all I need to do is just drag this up to the top. But before I do that, you're going to see that Halid And again, this is a perfect example. Other developers might do things with their apps. So I would check with see your favorite apps. I can open it up into auto exposure, manual exposure, macro. So let's go with, if I was really a camera nut, I would want to have auto exposure up there. I want to have manual exposure up there. And let's go with telephoto. Now, when I'm in my lock screen, I want to open it up in auto. I just tap on the little triangle. It opened up in auto mode. Go to my lock screen. Oh, that looks like a really cool photo. I want to take a photo of that. I can quickly tap on the 2.5 times. It automatically opens up in telephoto mode. Or I pull my phone out of my pocket and I need, oh, that's a cool shot. But I want to go into manual mode. Tap on the M. It just opened up Halid in the manual mode. And now you can see I have to adjust the exposure and all that because it's in manual mode. So I think that is really powerful with being that you can add your favorite apps to the lock screen. So, and in my case here, the Halid app is for photographers. If you like photography, check out Halid app. That I might have to do a separate thing on that if I can figure out how to do a tutorial on cameras. So, all right. This one is really cool. Multi-stop routing in maps. It's probably one of those things that I didn't realize. I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't realize it didn't have that. That's actually kind of nice. And on top of that, what you're also able to do is add in there how long it's going to take to get there based on predicted traffic. So you could say, well, I want to leave at 3 o'clock. Okay, it's going to take X amount of time to get there. Well, what happens if I left at 6 o'clock? The Maps app will be able to tell you that with traffic. So let's go back over to my iPhone here. And what we're going to do is open up the Maps app here. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to route out Key West. My wife and I are actually going to Key West tomorrow from Michigan. We're going to drive there. True story. So let's go Key West. Let's see how long it'll take to get there. This is typically how it would go, Key West. And I would get directions. And because of a problem connecting to the server. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. But you're going to see the main thing here is I can add a stop. So now what I'm able to do is tap on Add Stop, and let's go to Atlanta. Beth's brother lives in Atlanta, so we may want to stop there. But if we look, you're going to see that Atlanta is after Key West. All I have to do is just drag this up, and now it's going to route me through Atlanta. And if I want to remove anything, I can just swipe to the left to remove it. So we can add multiple stops in here. Now I'm just going to drive it. Now, I don't know why it's not giving me a route. Let's try a different route. We'll go to Traverse City. There we got some, there we go. All right, so Traverse City, it's going to take me 2 hours and 38 minutes to get to Traverse City. I also want to go to Mackinac Island, or Mackinac City. So I had a stop in there. Mackinac City. That's the right order, although I could change that around. Well, let's actually change that around. We're going to go to Mackinac City first and then loop back down to Traverse City. And we can see it just rerouted it. I also have 5 hours and 53 minutes. You're going to see if I were to leave now, that's how long it would take. Well, let's see how long it would take if I were to leave tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. All I do is just go over to Now here, and you can go up to 2 weeks ahead of time. If I were to go to November, you're going to see I can't do anything in November, so I'm not going to be able to route anything for Thanksgiving yet. But I'm just going to go tomorrow. I type in a time. Let's go with 8 o'clock a.m. and tap on done. It's recalculating based on predicted traffic. We can see that it's going to take me a little bit longer. I'm up to 6 hours now. It was 5 hours and something. And it just uses predicted traffic based on patterns and all that. So in addition to adding multiple stops, we can also see how long it's going to take to get somewhere based on predicted traffic at specific times. So I think that is really helpful. All right. Looks like we're doing good with our chat and all that, so let's keep going. Schedule emails in the Mail app. Actually, the Mail app has a lot more features to it. I shouldn't say a lot more, but it does have some nice features to it. But this is probably my favorite one because I use this in my favorite Mail app, Spark, and now I can do it in the Mail app. When we go over to our Mail app, what I can do when I create a new mail message, I have to first address it to somebody. So I'm just going to address it to myself. I have to put a subject in there. Just go test. And now, if I want to send this, what I do is I tap on the blue arrow in the upper right-hand corner here. But if I tap and hold on that, watch what happens. I'm able to schedule this. So maybe I don't want to send it now. I want to send it later on tonight or tomorrow morning. Or maybe I want to send this over the weekend. I can schedule it. The phone does have to be on the network in order to send it. So but most phones are, so it's not that big of an issue. This is more probably of an issue with the Mac. The Mac will also do this in macOS Ventura. But if your Mac is not on the network, it will not send it. So, but most phones are. So you can now schedule. If I were to say I have an attachment in here, attached is something. We'll see if this works. I tap on the send. I should get, it sent it. Okay, I just sent something to my, what it will do, it uses machine language, which hopefully will get better as you saw there, but it will say, oh, there's an attachment in here. You didn't attach anything. Do you want to attach something? It's kind of like a little safety check, like you said you were going to attach something, but you didn't. Do you want to attach something? Also, what they've added with the Mail app is you can, if you say, hey, can you follow up with me by next week Friday on this? And if someone doesn't send you an email by next week Friday, if they don't follow up with you, the Mail app will go and bring that back into the inbox to remind you that they didn't follow up. It uses machine language, so you can't specifically say, I want this email to follow up by a specific date. It just reads your email, and through machine language, machine learning, it will determine if there should be a follow-up and then let you know if there's not a follow-up. So I've had mixed results with that, but it'll get better as more people use it. The other thing that you can do with it, and this one isn't necessarily a favorite feature because I don't think it's implemented fully yet, not at least to my satisfaction, you can snooze emails. And what I mean by snooze emails is as we get new emails in here, these will just slowly go down towards the bottom, right? Because they're going to get buried. Well, what you can do is you can snooze an email, and when you snooze it, it'll bring it back up to the top here at a specific date and time. So let's say I'm looking at an email here, and what I want to do, let's go with this one here, this Apple News. I want to read this, but I don't want to read it now. And as time goes on, guess what that's going to happen? I'm going to get more email, and this thing's just going to slowly go down and get buried. So what you can do, if you swipe, I call it snooze, but it's actually called remind me, so I apologize. But you can say remind me and remind me in 1 hour. So what's going to happen at 7:39 tonight, this email will zip right up to the top there. So if you have an email in there that you want to be reminded about, you can now have that email zip to the top. What I don't like about it is I would love to see it be moved out of the inbox here. I snoozed it. I don't need to see it right now. And then when it comes back, when it reminds me, move it back into the inbox, because I like the idea of having my inbox here down to 0. Well, if I snooze a bunch of emails or set them to remind me later, they're still in my inbox here. So it's not fully, that's what Spark does. Spark moves it out of the inbox and then it brings it back in at a later, at a specific time. So I would like to see Apple, and Apple experimented with that, so maybe they'll bring that back in. But they just felt it was better to keep it in the inbox. But that doesn't help us people that like inboxes 0. So, but the schedule emails is awesome. I think it really can help people. You want to respond to it right now, but you don't want them to know that you're responding to it right now, because otherwise they know that you're online, and maybe, who knows, especially in a work environment, like I can answer this right now, but I can schedule it for later.
Dan,
Yeah.
can we snooze it for, like when you send us the connection for Zooming with you, can we snooze
Absolutely.
it to a date and time?
Yeah, absolutely. So
that'll be great.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a great.
Well, I was hunting for it because something didn't work in my connection.
Right. So let's
I flag everything, so I kept looking. Dan with the red flag. Dan with the red flag. Where is it?
I might have to add that to my newsletter if you use an iOS 16. Snooze this, because that's exactly what it's designed for in my mind. So let's just say this email here is my Zoom meeting, for my thing, and it's for next week Thursday. So what you want to do is you want to go remind me, and you would say on Thursday at, my classes start at 6, so you could just go, let's remind me at 5:30. And now at 5:30 next week Thursday, that email will zip right up to the top.
Excellent. Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. That's why it's one of my favorite features. It really is. It's really good, and I think it'll help a lot of people.
Thanks for asking that question.
Yeah. So we can now edit texts in the Messages app. So the Messages app is turning out to be more and more like mail. I mean, that's how we communicate with each other a lot of times, is through the Messages app. So when I go into my Messages app here, it's in my dock, and I send a message. We'll go to Abigail here, and let's say lunch tomorrow. Oops, lunch 2 Oreos. That's fine, because I want to edit it. So I send it, and I look at it, and I'm like, ooh, I need to edit that. Although, will it allow me? Yeah, because it didn't send it. Apparently, Abigail's not a good one. All right, let's go to here. Lunch 2 Oreos. I'll use that same thing. And I meant tomorrow. So now what I can do, you have, 30 seconds, I think. You can't do this indefinitely, and I'll show you where you can set up that time. But if I tap and hold on this, you're going to see I can undo the send, and then I can also edit it. Now I go tomorrow, and you're going to see it says edited above my pointer there, and that's what the other recipient will see as long as they're using iOS 16. If they're using iOS 15, it won't work. They're going to see both of them. But with iOS 16, it'll correct it. And on top of that, if they did want to see what the mistake was, they could tap on edited here. And you're going to see, I can see the original edit. And of course, we also can, I don't know if it'll allow me, it might be too late. Yep, too late. Because you have 30 seconds to do this. So I'll just send test. I can.
And Dan, what if we deleted it and it meant to go to somebody else? Is it going to show up also?
If you delete it, what it will do is, for iOS 15, it doesn't delete it. For iOS 16, it'll just say Dan's message was deleted. So they will get an indication. And if you want to see a good example of that, take a look at my, I have a lesson on messages, what's new in messages on the iPhone on my site. And I actually place my this phone my other phone, and then I also took my wife's phone, which still has iOS 15. I'm not allowing her to upgrade yet because I kind of use this. But I send a message, and you can see what happens across the different devices. So it's a great way to see if you're using if you send something to someone that's on iOS 15, you're going to be able to see what they see, which is basically an unedited, and they can't undo it. That message is sent. But if you send it to someone and delete it who has iOS 16, what they're going to see is that you sent a message and you deleted it. They're not going to know what it is. To set the time for that, like I say, it's a pretty, I think 10 seconds is the default for that. We go to our settings here, and we go to messages, and you're going to see somewhere in here. There we go. Oh, raise to listen. Nope. Keep messages. I thought it was somewhere in here.
It expires after 2 minutes.
Do you see that? And I don't see it. Oh, that's audio messages.
Oh,
But there is a setting. Again, not to keep putting you back towards my lessons, but I believe there is a setting for that. Maybe I'm talking about mail. With mail, maybe you can't do that with messages. With mail, you can also undo a send. I didn't mention that. If I go to mail here, I struggle with finding stuff in preferences. There it is. Sorry, I was talking about mail. You're going to see undo, send, delay 10 seconds, and you can set it for up to 30 seconds. So if you send an email to someone, I think the way that it works is if you send an email to someone, you can undo that send. You have 30 seconds to undo it, which means it actually delays sending it for 30 seconds. Not that that's that big of a deal, unless it was, but yeah. So it's not going to send it for 30 seconds, which means you have 30 seconds to cancel it. It's not
that's
really
good.
undoing
That's
it.
good if you send, because we've all done that. Send the
Right.
message.
So yeah, I would recommend if you are using the Mail app, and I know that most of us do, all of us do. I still do, even though I love Spark. I still use the Mail app. I did set my undo send to 30 seconds. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything, and you have 30 seconds to oh crap, I tapped on that when I didn't mean to. That's typically how it works. It's you tap on it before you're finished writing it. So now you have 30 seconds to undo that, and then you can go and edit it. So
That's a cool one.
another, let's see here. What else do we have here? Oh, duplicate search and shared library and photos. These are two pretty big deals in the Photos app. And the library, they are just on the brink of releasing. It might be with iPadOS, so I might be jumping a little bit ahead because I do use beta software. But you're going to get this really soon. It's in the betas. So let's first look at duplicate search. You can do this. So when I go into the Photos app, if you go down to your library here, your albums, what you're going to see among all your albums here is, under Utilities, you're going to see duplicates. And this does take a while. I put these duplicates in my phone preparing for this, and it probably took about 30 minutes before it actually showed up as duplicates. So it does take, if you have a lot of photos, you're not going to see this right away once you upgrade to iOS 16. But eventually they will be there if you have a lot of duplicates. And on my personal device, I have over 300 duplicates. Yikes. So I need to go through and whittle them down. But essentially what it does, and they have a nice little paragraph here explaining what it does, but it uses a little bit of machine language. It looks at your photos, machine learning, I should say. It looks at your photos and it determines that, these are the same photo. Even though they might be a different quality, what it'll do is it will delete the lesser quality photo and keep the higher quality photo. On top of that, if you have information in one of the photos and not in the other, let's say you have a caption in there, or location in one and not in the other, things like that, it'll merge all of that's called metadata. It'll merge all of that metadata together into the high quality photo. So you're not really losing anything. It merges all of the information from both photos, or if you have 3 photos or 4 photos, it'll merge all of the information from all of those photos and videos. Does the same thing with videos. Keep the high quality one and delete the lesser quality one. So all I would have to do is just tap on merge here, and it'll merge these two together and keep the high quality one, and then I no longer have a duplicate. And I did not know I had that many duplicates. So it was, I have 30,000 photos. I mean, I have a lot of photos in there, photos and videos, but on my personal library, and yeah, it was like 300 duplicates. So I'm using up space where I probably don't need to. And some of those are videos, and videos take up a lot of space. So it'll help me free up at least a little bit of space, which is kind of cool. The other thing, which, like I say, I might be jumping ahead. I thought maybe they'd release it. Rumor was they might release it. Maybe it's going to be tomorrow. But when you get iOS 16.1, what you're going to be able to do is set up a shared library. And the way that you do that, I'll show you where that is. If you go to the Settings app and you go to Photos, you're going to see we have Shared Library. There's going to be a button there that says Set Up. Just follow the instructions. It's pretty simple. Apple makes it really easy to do. Once you set up a shared library, basically what you're doing is you are creating 2 different libraries, a personal library and then a shared library. And what you can do is you can invite other people to that shared library. So essentially, it's a library that they can contribute to, you can contribute to. You can move photos over to that shared library. When you take a photo, you can add it to that shared library automatically. So think of it as just basically 2 libraries. So Beth and I can have a shared library, and then I can also have a personal library. So now when we go on vacation or whatever, if I were to put iOS 16, like I said, I don't have iOS 16 on her phone yet, but if I did, I could create a shared library, and she could take photos, put them in the shared library. I take photos, put them in the shared library. They're the full res versions of the photos. This isn't a shared album. It's a shared library. And when you tap on shared library, you can see you can invite other people to it. They have to accept the invitation. So let's say I wanted to invite Chris to this. I would just type in add participants, type in Chris. Chris would accept that invitation. If she was using the latest version of iOS, all of a sudden she would have a shared library. So let's see how that looks. I go to my photos here. I'm looking at my photos. And when we go to our library down at the bottom here, you're going to see, where's my little icon? There it is. You're going to see that that photo here has, 2 little people in the upper right-hand corner of it. This is telling me that this is in the shared library. Well, this photo is not. You may think that this is a duplicate, but it's really not. One photo is in my shared library. The other photo is in my personal library. This photo here of the shell, this one is in my personal library. While this photo here of the pier is in my shared library. And what you can do is you can view only your shared library or only your personal library. Obviously, right now, I'm viewing both libraries. We go up to the More button in the upper right-hand corner, the 3 dots, and you're going to see Personal Library and Shared Library. So I want to view my personal library. Tap on Personal, and now I'm only looking at my personal library, and there are those duplicates. Now I want to view the shared library. I go up to the top here where we have the little silhouette. Now I'm looking at my shared library. I want to move a photo. Let's say I wanted to move this photo here. This is in my shared library. I want to move it to my personal library. Tap on it.
And
Yep.
that only happens if everybody has iOS 16, though, correct?
Correct. And this is not, like I say, I'm jumping ahead of time. This is going to be released. The rumor is it could be even as far as tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow. But it's pretty powerful. I mean, not powerful, wrong word. I think it's pretty cool. And I can see, families having a shared library, and then people, it's not like Beth wants to see all my pictures of my computer equipment and all that, so I can put that in my personal library. But anytime we go on vacation or, photos or whatever, I can put that in my shared library. And
Does that take up a lot of extra space,
well,
though?
it's 2 libraries, so no, I wouldn't say any extra space. The photo will go in one or the other. I highly doubt that you would duplicate it. It's going to go in one or the other. When you're in the camera, you're going to see in the upper left-hand corner, I have a little line through the little silhouette. If I take this photo, it's going to go in my personal library. I tap on the icon. Now it's going to go in my shared library. Tap on it again. It's going to go in my personal. So let's go ahead and do this. That just went into my personal library. And right now I'm viewing my shared library. So, you have to be aware now that you're dealing with 2 libraries, because you're going to look at this and be like, it's not there. Where is it? How come I don't see it? Well, that's because I'm looking at my shared library. When I go to my personal one,
That's cool.
there's the photo. So that's shared libraries. I thought that it's imminent. It's going to be released soon.
Steve says in the chat that it's coming on the Monday.
Okay, Monday. Thank you, Steve. I knew it was going to be soon. And just go into the settings app. It's pretty simple to set up, and so far it has worked great for me. So I think it's really
And
nice.
Deborah and I both have a question, but she's been waiting.
Oh yeah,
That's
go
okay.
for it.
Thank you. I was just wondering, could you specifically tell me how this is different than the shared album?
Okay, the shared album, with the shared album, you're putting lower res versions in that album, so that person is not getting a high res version. And with a shared library, I believe somebody will be able to delete the photo, because it's a shared library. If I share a photo with Beth in the shared library, she is also participating in that library, and she would be able to delete that photo. I've not tested that, I'll be honest. But to me,
I thought
probably,
you could do that.
well, I don't think you can do that with other people can contribute to a shared album, but they
If
can't.
you set the parameters, though.
Right. This, I think, is a lot easier to manage. I've used shared albums when we, go out with friends, on a vacation or whatever, and I think shared albums is great for that. But I think in a family situation, a shared library is better. But I don't want to create, Beth can automatically add photos. You can even go as far as, and I haven't tested this, when it detects a photo of Beth, it'll automatically put it into the shared library. It does automation with facial recognition. I haven't tested it, that's why I didn't show it, but supposedly it's going to go that far.
Can you have a picture in both your personal library and your shared library?
Yeah, you could duplicate it and then put, yep. But go ahead.
You're duplicating it? You asked
Oh,
to-
no, so when I go back over to my shared library here, this photo
personal
of,
library.
okay, I'll go to the personal one here. Oop, I am in the personal one. So I'm in my personal library. This shell here is only in my personal library. If I
Right.
move it to my shared library, it doesn't duplicate it, it moves it. So I go here to move it to shared. It is no longer in my personal, but it is in my shared. And if I want to view everything, and this is typically how I think most people would do it, they would view both libraries, and now you can see everything. These I should erase these duplicates. These duplicates I use for duplicate search. So you would not see duplicates when you do this. So that, I'm
Interesting.
sorry about the confusion, but yeah. And
okay.
basically the web albums or the shared albums is, it's good, but they're not high res. The shared library is like, it's kind of like, it's getting down to, I mean, it's a library. It's like your photo library. It's not going to reduce the quality or anything like that. So.
Thank you. But it definitely removes it from your personal library.
Yes, it moves it and puts it into the other. Yep,
But
exactly.
your 3 dots option allows you to see both personal and
Correct.
shared together.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
And you can see, whoops, I opened that up. You can see when you're looking at these, let's go back, library, or all photos. When you're looking at it, we have the icon in the upper right-hand corner for anything that's in the shared library. And if it's not in the shared library, it doesn't have that icon. So you can easily visually see what library it's in when you're looking at both.
Dan,
yeah.
in the shared album, is it reciprocal? Say I only want to share in their direction, but they do not want to send anything within that album to me.
You could
work?
do that. You could do that with an album. Yes, with a shared album, you could basically you can allow them to contribute. I would go with a shared album is good for people that are not in your close. Like I say, we go on vacation with our friends Ponch in Maryland. I'm not going to invite them to my shared library because with a shared library, they're going to see all of our photos, Beth's and my photos. So it's really more of a family, a closer knit, kind of thing. Where a web shared album is designed for groups of people that you're sharing a specific time with. Could be a birthday party, could be something like that. Because a shared album, you're seeing everything in that shared. It's another album. I mean, got it wrong. A shared library is it's another library. So it's going to have everything from as time goes on, that library is going to get more and more. So it's not time based.
If I share an album in somebody's direction, it doesn't mean that they have to put any photos in that album to share back. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, create reminder list templates. Let's drink some water here. With reminders, what we can do is create a template. And my easiest way probably of describing this, my analogy, is you could go to Office Max or Staples or any office store, and you used to buy the yellow sticky notes or the tabs, the squares, and you could put them on your refrigerator, and it's a to-do list, and you could get that to-do list pre-printed, right? Like if you could buy them that had a packing list. So what you do is oh, I got that, I got that, I got that, I got that. You go on your vacation and you rip it off, throw it away. Okay, now you're going on another vacation. You can start on the next sheet of that sticky note and do the same thing. So basically what those sticky notes are templates. You tear them off, throw it away, start with the next one. Well, that's basically what we can do with the Reminders app. We can create templates out of our lists. So you can see here I have packing list. And this packing list has in there chargers, shoes, razor, toothpaste, that kind of thing, all your packing lists. I'm going, ding, 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 and let's move that out of the way. Okay, now I'm done with that. I get back home. I don't want to have this packing list sitting here. I'm not going on vacation for a while. I delete it. All right, I'm going on vacation again. Oh, crap. What was in that pack? Sure would be nice to have that packing list. Wow. Well, now what we're able to do is create a list. So I'm going to go and add a list here. And I can base it off of a template. And you're going to see I have my packing list there. Create. And there's my packing list. Ready to go on my next trip. And I could add more stuff to this if I wanted to. I'm done with that. Delete it. All right, I'm ready to go on another trip. Add list, templates, packing list, create. I can go and fill it out. You can do this with groceries. Create a grocery list. When you're done with it, throw that grocery list away. And then create another list when you're ready to go grocery shopping again. So how do we create these templates? Pretty simple. We're going to pick on groceries here. And first thing you want to do is kind of fill it out, get up, because it saves everything in here. And once you create your list the first time, what you do is you go up to the More button in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to see Save as Template. So now what I'm able to do is save this as a template, and if you completed some items, maybe you used this list and you're thinking, oh man, this would make a great template. I might have to use this again. But I don't want to have to uncheck everything. Well, what you can do is you can say, include the completed reminders in this list. So anything that you've completed, so if you've bought stuff, it'll put it back in there. I hit save, and now I've just created that template. So I'm done grocery shopping. I go to my list, templates, groceries, and there it is.
But do you have to remember what you called it? Like, do you give it a title?
Yeah, you have to, right. So groceries, packing lists, whatever you want to, in
Yeah,
your case, it could be piano lessons. I don't know exactly, but yeah, you would name it. And when you create a list, so let's go with Aaron's here. I'm going to save as template. I can go and name it, and that's going to be the default name. But what I also am able to do is, so maybe I'm going on 2 trips, so I need 2 packing lists, right? Well, this packing list is my generic one, but I'm also doing something else. Well, I can create a new list, templates, packing list, and this one is for Florida.
Oh, because like
And-
I used to have an examiner's list when I went across the country, stuff that I needed to bring, metronome and
Yep.
mark, whatever.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
my personal list.
Right.
So as long as you give them each their own title, you have to remember what that title is. That's it.
Yep. And now I have 2 packing lists, one for each trip. And I
But then
can,
you have to erase all that until the next time. But as soon
Yeah.
as you pull up
yeah,
that
I would
same-
just delete it, and now I no longer have that.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I really like that. It kind of reminds me of the old, tear it off, throw it away, and you can start from, instead of having, you could otherwise, if you have a lot of lists and you don't use those lists all the time, this list of lists can
Yeah.
get extremely long. So now what you
Well,
can do is you can create templates.
I did that. I made my own template on my MacBook Pro for when I would go examining. So this would take the place of that. Except it's on your phone.
Yep. All right. The next thing we have here is smarter dictation on the iPhone. And with this, what we can do is actually use the keyboard at the same time as we're dictating. In the past, when you dictated, if you paused, it would stop listening to you. It's kind of frustrating because I like, what do I want to say? And then all of a sudden it would be like, oh, you're not saying anything, I'm going to stop. It's trying to be smart, but it wasn't that smart. So now what it does is it listens to you until you tell it to stop. In addition to that, you can use the keyboard at the same time as you're dictating. So if you see a word that you typed wrong or dictated wrong, you can select it and say what the next word is. On top of that, you do not have to say any punctuation. It'll recognize where there is punctuation. And it'll add emojis in there. Emojis, yeah. So I'm going to create a new note here. And I'm going to pull up a paragraph somewhere. I think I have a paragraph here of something. Okay, so this is something I found on Twitter. It's something on Steve Jobs or whatever. So now I go down to the dictate button down here. And when I tap on the dictate button, you're going to see that the keyboard doesn't disappear. It's going to put in the punctuation when I speak this. I'm going to select a word and correct the word, or that kind of thing. And you do this all on the fly. A year ago, to honor the memory of Steve Jobs, I was joined by 32 members of the Apple tech community to record a song that has special meaning to us, and hope it will for you too. Let me know if it does have meaning to you. Tech Community. And I tap on Done, and it didn't get the punctuation. Check that out. But normally it would get the punctuation in there too. A year ago, to honor the memory of Steve Jobs, I was joined by 32 members of the Apple Tech Community. Oops, I got it. There we go. A year ago, to honor the memory of Steve Jobs, I was joined by 32 members of the Apple Tech Community to record a song that has special meaning to us. I hope it will for you too. Let me know if it does. Do you think it's kind of cool? Smiley face emoji. So we can see now it added the punctuation in there. We have the couple periods in there, and we have the emoji in there. Not perfect, but it actually works. This is actually of course, probably because I'm demoing it. This is the biggest fail I've had with it. It really does work pretty good. You just have to speak to it. On top of that, when we go to the Messages app, if you type in a new message here, in past versions of iOS, the blue button below my pointer, that was always over to the right of where my pointer is now. What that blue button did was record an audio. You tap and held it. It would record your voice. When you're done, you could send that. I don't think a lot of people used it. It was kind of gimmicky. People used it in the beginning, and then nobody used it unless it was by accident. So what they did is they moved that to the app tray for people that do want to use it. But in place of that, they put the dictation here. So now what I'm able to do, I want to send a message. Do you want to have pizza tonight? And we can see it put the question mark in there. All I had to do was just tap on the little icon here, and then when I was done, I tap on the blue send button, and it just dictated that and sent that. I have used that quite a bit. So, smarter dictation. Let's see here. Detect duplicates and create and edit contacts in groups or lists. Okay, so this is in the Contacts app. What we can now do is detect duplicates on the iPhone and the iPad. A lot of the stuff is available on the iPad as well when that is released. But more important is we can now manage our groups, or what they now call lists. They changed the name. So in the past, if we wanted to create a group, let's go over to my iPhone here, and I'm going to go to my contacts. If you're using iOS 15, you had these groups, or as you can see, they're now called lists, but you had these lists. It's just that you couldn't manage them. Where the iPhone got it from and where the iPad got these lists is from the Mac app. On the Mac Contacts app, what we were able to do is create lists or groups, add people to them, and then it would sync over to the iPhone or iPad. You could also do this in iCloud.com. Create these lists or groups in iCloud.com, and then they would show up on your iPad and iPhone. You couldn't manage them. You couldn't create lists. You couldn't add people to these lists. Well, now you're going to see I can add a list. On top of that, when I go to a list, I'm going to go to Family here. I can go and add people to that list. We have the plus up there, and then I can select who I want to add to that list. So we can now manage all of our lists right on the iPhone. I call that one of those finally moments. Like, why did it take Apple so long to do that? The other thing that you can do is you can detect duplicates. So when I go over to, let's see here, all iCloud, is it going to show me? Do I have to go to a list? Hopefully I didn't get rid of all my duplicates. I might have, when I create these lessons, I think I got rid of all my duplicates, showing how it works. But essentially what you're going to, no, that's there. They're there. All right. I don't know why it's not showing me. But essentially what you can do when you tap on any one of these lists or go to all iCloud or all contacts, there, I'm tapping too fast. I found a duplicate. So from here, what I can do is I can tap on View Duplicates, and I can see what those duplicates are. Also, if you dismiss this, it'll show up at the bottom. You're going to see it says 1 duplicate found at the bottom. So essentially, all I have to do is just tap on this, and I can see what the duplicates are. I can see the individual cards. You can't even do this in macOS Ventura. And I can see what information is in each one of those cards. And then if I want to merge them, it merges all the data together. All I have to do is just tap on merge, and it'll merge all of that data together. The iPad works the same way. When that is released on the Mac, it doesn't work as clean. On the Mac, you could always find duplicates, but basically what it does is it says, hey, I found duplicates. Do you want to merge these together? And you say yes, and that's it. On the iPad and iPhone versions with iPad OS 16 and iOS 16, we actually can see what those duplicates are and actually see the information that is duplicated. And we can select if we want to merge that. We can do it on an individual basis. Maybe you do want to have duplicates for that one person. You can do that now. So
One comment, Dan,
Yeah.
is that you must have it be an exact duplicate.
Yes.
In other words, if you say Beth Wassink, but on the other one you say Wassink Beth, it's not noticing that
No.
it is a duplicate.
Or Bethany
Or if you
Wassink.
misspelled a last name or a first name in one contact and in the other contact it's correct, it also doesn't recognize it as an exact duplicate.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So what would happen in the case of, like, I have a students who I send a note to their, so I call it say Lennon, but I send an email to her mom and I send one to her. So in my contacts, in my groups, I've got Lennon, but I've got one Lennon, but 2 different addresses, or maybe even 3 different email addresses. Is that considered a duplicate? Will
No,
that
because
merge?
in when you're looking at a, I go to macOS and I edit this, what I'm able to do is add multiple addresses here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, that is not considered a duplicate. What's considered a duplicate is when you have cancel
The
contact.
same name, the same.
Right here, right. The 2 contact cards, not the information in the card, but actual cards and the name there. So
So if I have duplicates on somebody's name, it appears the same, but one of them has some personal notes where I put down in notes.
it'll
If any-
combine those.
It will. Oh, I don't want that. Sometimes I just want to share. No, I want to share a
Right.
contact, but they don't need to know all the business
Right.
below.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yep. And well, and that's the beauty of this. When you merge them, or when you do a duplicate find, you can select which ones you want to merge, which card. So you can absolutely, on the Mac, you can't do that. On the iPhone, you will be able to say, don't merge these 2 contacts together, and it won't.
That's a perfect thing to remember though, Cindy. Thank you. Because sometimes when we share contacts, we don't want all that note.
Well, when
information.
you share a contact, I'll go to Abigail here, and let's say I want to share this. I believe you can filter the fields that you want to share. You're going to see it says filter fields. So I can say, well, I don't want to include that note. Now when I tap on done and I share this, it is not going to include, well, I put the address in there. but-
That's fantastic.
So you could merge them together, but when you share them, just make sure you select which fields you do not want to share.
Oh, so if I have something in notes, literally in the contact, it won't send them.
Yeah, I'll go with, so I put in my notes here, hi. And I don't know, I'll have to check on, this is why I can't let Beth upgrade.
That's great. I like.
But
to do
if
that
I go and
too.
share this, I don't know if this is an iOS 16 feature or not. I'll have to check. Share, filter fields. There's no note there.
No,
No.
that's the thing I like to keep a mystery because
Well, I wonder
I'm
if it
teaching
shares the
someone,
notes.
I don't want the other people to know what I'm teaching them. It's none of their personal business.
Right. I wonder if
do
it
this
doesn't
too.
share. Does anyone know if when you share a contact, does it share the notes? I'm curious on that. Maybe it doesn't do that at all. Notes are considered private, so
I
maybe
went-
it doesn't share that.
Well, I
I
don't know.
went through that one time and it did not share notes, and then another time it did share some of the notes.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused as to whether it
Right.
does or not.
Okay.
Better safe than sorry. I'll keep 2
Right.
files.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
You might even want to then identify that particular contact as P for personal,
Oh,
somewhere
yeah. Yep.
in that so that it's identified as not a duplicate.
Right. Good point. All those little tricks that you can use. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. We're starting to wrap it up here. This one, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate, but I'm going to show you where it is. And I think it is, I love, this is in my top 5, and it's just something so simple. And the reason why it's in my top 5 is when you're typing on the keyboard, or even if I'm at my home screen, when I tap and hold on an icon here, what it did is it just did a little haptic tap on the back. It's like confirmation. You know how when you click on a tap on a keyboard, it's that click that gives you confirmation. That's basically what the haptic tap feedback does. Tap and hold. It just tapped on me. Again, like I say, I can't demonstrate it, but the way that we set that up is we go to Settings, and you go to Sounds and Haptics, and then you're going to see Keyboard Feedback. And we all know the little sound. You can see I have that turned off. That's a little tick, 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 tick. As you're typing, that gets annoying after a while. But we now have the option to do a haptic tap feedback, and then you'll just feel it. You'll just feel your phone just do a little, and they did a really nice job with it. It's just a little, just confirmation that you're doing something, typing something. You tap on a key. Your phone will just go tink, just a little tink. I don't know. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. So I wanted to share that one because that is one of my favorites. And yeah, the last one, this is one of my favorites only because I've been waiting for this for a while to redo my Apple Watch tutorials. So if you're watching my site, you're going to see I'm starting to recreate some of my Apple Watch tutorials because they're getting pretty old. And the way that I used to do it in the past is I would have a camera on here, and and then or I'd have a camera over. I've tried different methods, and it's cumbersome. Well, now what I can do is mirror this. I'm going to go to my phone here. Let's see, phone, yeah. There we go. So this is my personal phone. This is my real phone here. And when I go to Settings, what we can do when we go to Accessibility and we go to Apple Watch mirroring, when I tap on the slider, it's not catching up to me, is it? There it is. When I tap on the slider here, what's going to happen is my iPhone will be mirrored, or my Apple Watch will be mirrored on my iPhone. I can actually control my Apple Watch from my iPhone. And now what I'm able to do is create a video tutorial using this little trick here. So I'm going to turn it on. You're going to see here shortly, there's my watch. And I can tap on my activity rings. Apparently I didn't get a lot of exercise today yet.
And my screen is frozen.
It is, huh? Everyone else see me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I did find a way to check my bandwidth. I had issues last week. Whoa, what happened there?
Over.
There we go. My Zoom just restarted.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. I kept looking for it, but I have a Series 4 and I don't have a need for the other one.
No, you have
it won't update anymore.
Yep.
Right. And I have a Series 5, but I can't do it either until.
Right.
Yeah, it's not available on all of the iPhones yet, so or all of the Apple Watches. But it's pretty cool. And what I've done is I've turned this into a little trick here. Give you a little thing of what I've been doing. So this is how it looks, how you would see it. And like I say, I can tap on the phone to control my watch. So what I did is turn it into this. And now I can go and, where's my cursor here? say, I'm going to tap. Okay, we got the time up here. I can see what focus I'm in, and you're going to see the 3 dots down here. So now I'm able to recreate my trainings based on that. So more of on a personal thing, but I love that because this is the Apple Watch
Very
is a
cool.
pain in the butt to record. So now I can easily do that. So that's some of my favorite new features that the iOS 16 has. I do have about 20 videos explaining these in more detail on my site, so you can always find those on there. That's basically my presentation tonight. So
Hey, Dan, one
thank-
quick question about the watch.
go for it.
Okay, so if it mirrors it to the phone, and I were teaching somebody at my home, I could mirror from that phone to the TV, and they would see my watch, correct?
The problem, we tried that. Somebody tried that. I think Tom tried that in a message or in a meeting the other day. And the problem with that is when you're mirroring to your watch, it's using AirPlay to mirror it.
So it can't do
and
two.
Can't do two. So, I'm trying that right now, and it
shucks.
won't let me.
Okay.
Yep.
The other thing, Dan, about that mirroring, in your tutorial, did you show how you made that watch really big so it stands out? Did you explain how you did that?
Well, it's just
It's a different
just does it
view.
automatic. When I didn't do anything, this is just what it looks like. If you were to mirror it, this is what it would look like to you.
Except that what you showed us a minute ago with it just being,
This?
yes.
That's some trickery. There's lots of layers going on here. If you were to look at this, I'll show you a little behind the scenes here, hopefully. So I have a green screen here, which is, you're going to see the cursor is right there. And when I go over to the Apple Watch, there's that cursor, so I can highlight. I got layers and things, and it's more or less for my tutorials. It's complicated. It's not something that, and you need, not something. I just wanted to show why I like it for me. That was the whole.
Yeah, it's very cool. Can I ask you a Siri question?
Yeah.
When people say, hey, you know who, I don't want to activate it. Sometimes they get just, instead of getting, have you heard that?
I have.
Exactly it.
I have. I don't know. I
And I
don't know.
can't get rid of it for them.
Yeah, I don't have a clear answer on that. So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Next week I will be out of town, so I'm not going to be doing anything, although I have videos that are ready to post. It's going to be a working vacation. I will be posting some of the stuff that I've pre-recorded and all that, but I'll be back on the following week. And then I think it's one of my traditional AMAs, so you can sign up for that. And outside of that, thank you everyone for your support. If you know anyone that could benefit from this, let them know about my site. I appreciate it. And thanks. I'm going to stop recording here.
Thank you.
Good
Super
day.
job.
Thank
Thanks.
you.